Hey guys, welcome back to another episode. Can you guys guess what we are going to be talking about today? I know it's kind of a wild guess, but you're probably right. We are going to be talking today all about how to prepare for baby chicks. One of my favorite parts of the year, and it works so perfect with the timing of this episode because we just got our sweet little chicks. They are 2 weeks old exactly, and we are so excited to have them here on the homestead. So I'm going to be sharing today with you all about how to prepare, how to plan ahead, and how to make that transition with new babies and what you need to have to be able to take care of them. So I hope this is a helpful episode. We're going to let this little guy go back to his friends, and then we're going to jump right into all of the steps with how to prepare for your baby chicks. Okay, so we are going to talk specifically now about what the steps are to begin to prepare for chicks. And like I said a minute ago, one of our favorite things and something I always cannot wait to get through Christmas and then start talking chicks and gardening and be able to switch to planning for those things. So I will definitely say this year in particular, if you are hoping to get chicks, especially if you are wanting to order them specifically from a hatchery, I really encourage you to do this as soon as possible because we are seeing a lot of people wanting to get chickens, and there is a huge increase for demand, and there are places that already have certain breeds sold out through the spring. So I definitely encourage you to work on your planning ASAP if you are hoping to have new chicks. So how do we do this? How do we break it down? In our last episode, we talked about some of the steps that I like to use when I'm planning for anything, whether that's chicks or my garden or a project, and that is to list my ideas and break it down into practical steps and then schedule those things. So you can totally use that method as you're planning for your chicks. So the first thing that I encourage you to do is list the breeds or different kinds of chicks that you're hoping to get. And I could probably do an entire episode talking about all kinds of breeds, guys, but that's not the point of this episode. So I really encourage you to research that. We have shared on Instagram some of the specific breeds that we are using, and if you have questions on that, I love to talk about chickens, so feel free to message me and I can try to help you look at some of the different things that you are wanting. So what I encourage you to do as you research breeds, even just through catalogs. A lot of your hatchery catalogs have great descriptions, or on their websites just talking about the breeds, what they're good for. In the catalog, there is also the little keys at the bottom that show little symbols regarding whether that chick is good for winter, whether it is cold hardy, whether it has a lot of egg production. So I would kind of just talk through and think through what are you wanting from your chicks. So if you are hoping to raise really high quality eggs that you can find a breed that produces a lot of eggs per week, and you only want to have a few chicks, then you're going to want to research that area and look at different breeds that have a great quantity in eggs that they produce through the year. Maybe you are worried about producing all year round, then I would definitely look into breeds that are more cold hardy. Maybe you are interested in having that perfect egg basket with all the beautiful colors, then look into breeds that produce different colored eggs. So set some of those ideas and goals and then do your research. Like I said, a great free option is just to order those catalogs from your hatcheries. Even sometimes your local feed stores will have pamphlets and literature on the chicks that they are going to be getting in, or just go to those websites and look through the different breeds and specifically look at what are your goals in raising chicks. So just to give you an example, for us, we really want to raise mostly heritage breed chickens, and a couple of our goals were, first of all, we wanted cold hardy chickens. We really wanted to be able to get eggs all year round, and guys, we made a lot of changes last spring, and we are so thrilled with the changes we made, because here we are right in the middle of winter and we are still getting a lot of eggs, and that has been awesome. Another thing that I wanted was all of the beautiful different colors. We sell eggs locally to our egg customers, and I just love to be able to sell a beautiful dozen of eggs with all those awesome colors. So that was a priority. We also really enjoy raising the dual purpose birds so that we can use them as meat birds if we need to. So those were some of the things that we have really focused on when we were researching, and some of the breeds that we have really enjoyed. We are raising extra Delawares this year because they are an awesome dual purpose, also can be used as a meat bird. We also love our Barred Rock. We love our Easter Eggers. We love our Buff Orpingtons. We are starting Black Copper Morans this year. We also love our Wells Summer. They lay a really pretty dark egg. We have just a group of all different breeds that really produce all of the different things that we are looking for, and that was just things that we figured out through researching. And so that's what I encourage you with, to make your list, research the breeds you are hoping to get. As far as action steps, your first action step is going to have to be getting those birds ordered. So make sure you do that. And then your second action step needs to be preparing for your chicks. And that's what I really want to talk about for the rest of this episode, is what do you do, how do you prepare, and maybe you've had chicks before but it didn't go super well, or you felt like it was really complicated, or maybe this is your very first time. Then hopefully this will give you some ideas. And like I said, I love to talk chicks, so feel free to reach out to me. So the first thing you need to do is set up your brooder, and this time of year a lot of people like to set it up inside, maybe in your basement or garage, just because it's still quite cold outside. If you have a warm area in your barn or an outbuilding, that can be a great option too. So setting up your brooder, what does that look like? So you can go as simple or as fancy as you want to go, and guys, around here we are pretty simple. And so for us, that looks like a couple of the large Rubbermaid containers. They're about 4.5 feet long, so good size. Like the extra large ones, you can just grab those at Walmart or somewhere local, and that's what we like to use. You can even go as simple as using a big cardboard box. Some people will actually use a wooden structure that they build out as a wooden brooder. One of the benefits with the Rubbermaid that I love is you can dump your bedding out and cleanse your container, and that makes it really easy to clean and keep up with. So that's what we start our chicks in for the first couple weeks. So select your brooder option, have that ready. What else do you need? So the main things beyond having a place for your chicks to actually live is you need to have food, you need to have water, you need to have bedding, and you need to have a heat source. So we're gonna talk about those things specifically. First of all, food and fresh water. These are very important. Your chicks need fresh food and fresh water in front of them. And so you can just grab the nice little chick feeders right at your local farm store, and they will have them where you can take the jar part off, fill your feed, and then it comes down through into the little circles that the chicks can eat through. The water dish ones are an awesome option. The small feeders work great, and you will see those here in exactly what we like to use for our chicks. So once you have your food and watering vessels that you're gonna use, you definitely wanna select your feed. We like to start our chicks out on a grower feed that has a good source of protein. We're using just an organic crumble this year, and it is working great for our chicks. Again, those things can be picked up at your local farm store also. The next thing is bedding. So you can use things like wood shavings, straw. We love the wood shavings. They're just easy to clean out and work really well in the bottom of the containers that we like to use. So you want to have a nice layer of bedding, couple inches thick for your chicks, and you want to try to keep that cleaned out. So try to make sure on a regular basis you're dumping that bedding, putting fresh bedding in for your little babies. And then the next area is you want to have a warming source. So There are chick panels that you can use, and there are also like heat lamp options. Right now we are using the heat lamp option. We clip it onto a board above our Rubbermaid brooders where our babies are in, and this is very important for chicks. They definitely need a heat source. They need to stay warm initially, and that's why you can't just stick them outside. They would not do well with that. So that's how we like to do it. As your chicks get older and begin to get your feathers, you can still have a heat source, but you may need to raise that panel or that heat lamp and prepare them to begin to transition them into the next area where you are going to keep them. So for us, we start them in that small brooder, and then they move into a next phase brooder, which is out in our garage. So this is not a heated area. So again, this is transitioning them into some cooler temperatures, but we will still use a heat lamp until they totally have their feathers. This is also a larger area, so we use a fenced-in area in our garage and put down a layer of cardboard and then the bedding, and this works really well for us until we're ready to transition them outside. So all depending on your climate, you may be able to transition them outside after the first couple weeks, but we usually keep them indoors for at least the first 4 to 6 weeks, depending on how early we get them. And then from there, we transition them outside until a small coop. This is just like a prefab small coop that was built for like 3 to 4 full-size chickens. It just has a little shelter area and a small fenced-in area, and this is a great place to introduce your chicks to being outside. I also encourage you, if you are introducing them to a flock that you already have, put your babies near your other chickens, and this will help them transition and get used to each other before you actually introduce them to the other chickens. So we will typically put our chicks or pullets, as they may be at that point, right out into the pasture in their own little pen and fenced in area, but all of our other chickens are around, and this is a great way to just transition them. And then once they are old enough, usually for us it's in that 8 to 9 weeks old, we will start to introduce them, let them out during the day, and then a lot of times separate them at night until they get old enough to all be together. So again, you can work those steps through depending on your setup. Your climate has a lot to do with it, but that is kind of the process that we go through in starting chicks and then transitioning them outside. But again, I encourage you, the first thing that you really need to work on is just that brooder for bringing your chicks home. Remember those important steps of having good bedding, making sure that you have good food and water, and a heat source for them to stay warm and cozy when they are super, super tiny. We're also going to be sharing here with you a couple different tips for things that you can do with setting up your brooder. Here's a little peek at what our setup looks like. You'll see that we have our food and water set up, and all of our babies are super, super happy in this little area. So a couple other things that we encourage that are some great tips for you that you can do with your chicks is, first of all, to create a infusion with your chick water. You can do this with different herbs. We like to use the garlic and astragalus. We also like to use a teaspoon per quart of vinegar in our feeders and our waters, and we will just put this right into the water, and this is a great source for them of good bacteria and just overall health. So we will add this to our waters when we fill them up. This is another great option to just do something simple and natural. So another fun little snack idea for your babies is, babies love the little mealworms. You can grab these from your farm store, but they're a great source of protein and will just give them a little extra boost and can be a fun little snack or treat that you feed to your chickens. So you will see in the description below, I have created just kind of a recap of some of these ideas, steps, and tips. You can print that out and just kind of keep it as a resource to be able to walk through, especially if you are doing this for the first time. So hopefully those are some helpful tips for you guys. Like I said, please do not hesitate to reach out if you have any questions specifically. We would love to show you what we do or answer any questions with your situation in particular. So I hope this has been helpful. Just another thing that you may be looking ahead for to plan in the spring. And if you have not tried chickens yet, highly recommend it. Start small. I feel like about 5 or 6 is a great number to start with your first year if you're wanting to raise a couple and have a few for producing your own eggs. That's a great place to start. That's where we started, believe it or not. When we moved here to our homestead 8 years ago, we started with 5 chickens our first spring, and now, oh goodness, I'm not sure exactly what our total is, but I know we have well over 50 or 60 birds. So start small, and again, it's such a fun thing to be able to have your own chicks, your own eggs. Just the whole thing is a great experience. So please reach out, let us know if you have any questions, and make sure you subscribe below so you don't miss any of our future episodes. We're gonna be back next week talking all about how to plan for your garden. Can't wait to share that with you all too. Have a great week, guys.